of September closed out quarter 3, right? So we're on to the last quarter of the year. Our quarter 3 results were not where they needed to be from a sales standpoint. And when you look at what caused that, what you will see is our appointment count was not at an acceptable level for us to be successful. Part of that is adding a lot of new folks, but also just our commitment to prospecting, which is the hardest part of our job, was not there in quarter 3. The only way we're going to fix that is to recommit ourselves to prospecting and to train and get better at our prospecting. That's the purpose of today. The other piece when we talk about appointments is this. We have to get to a point where we take a 7-day week and turn it into a 5 or 6-day week worth of sales. And what I mean by that is this. Right now, when you look at from the territory, we put the majority of our appointments on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We don't have the appointment count we need on Friday. We don't have the appointment count we need on Saturday. Understandable on Sunday. I'm not worried about that. Or on Monday. And so we create this vicious cycle. We run our appointments Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We come up Friday, something doesn't happen. Saturday doesn't happen. Monday we try to get back on our feet, start calling again on Tuesday, and this cycle perpetuates. So what we have to do is we have to get to the point where we have sales days 5 days a week. And we have to understand in our business of sales, not in cemetery funeral, sales in general, Saturdays are key when it comes to sales. Because Saturdays are when people are at home. And it doesn't mean do I work all day Saturday if I'm on family service and I'm not on duty. No, it may not mean that. It may mean you have a 9 o'clock appointment. It's a 2-hour appointment. Hey, I'm done for the day. I got a nice sale. Propels me into next week. If I'm PPA, again, great opportunity because folks are at home on a Saturday to run appointments or to come in and prospect and make sure I have my appointment count where it needs to be. So we're going to continue to focus on that process, the activities, the rolling 7, to make sure that we start to pick up our appointments. That is not to pat Ryan on the back and say, there, you accomplished your goal. My belief is we have to push each one of you to that next level so that you can earn that next level, right? Protect more families, earn the next level of income, which we all signed up to make a living when we came to work for us, right? None of us came to work for free. And so we have to put in the time, put in the commitment, hey, Tiffany, to make sure that we are maximizing each day that we have potential to close sales. So Tom's going to go through a presentation today. Here's what's interesting about this presentation. This morning was the first time that I had seen it. And next week I'm going to be in Houston for a meeting with 43, 46, whatever the number is, number of sales directors that we have in the organization. We have a 3-day meeting. And one of the things we're going to do is get trained on this PowerPoint. Tom, because of his proven track record as well as his growth potential that we are looking at, got elected to come down and train as a sales manager, the sales director. So this was an opportunity as we looked at the material to say, hey, let's do the training here before we even go down there because this is valuable information. We're going to talk about our web presence, talk about how do we prospect to people to get more appointments. So it's interactive. Make sure you have a pen and paper. Make sure when Tom calls you, you're off mute so that way you can respond to the questions. Those that are on the WebEx and those in the room, be prepared to respond. Okay, before we get started, any questions at all? Okay, we'll turn it over to Tom. Let's give him our attention.
Thanks, Ryan, and thanks everybody. Like I said, like Ryan said, I appreciate you guys letting me present this before I have to go and present it to a bunch of people next week in Houston. But I was really excited when I got this deck because it's really, really interesting information. And other things that I've had the fortune of presenting would be like Salesforce, conversation, some stuff that's really STI specific or very, very specific to our company and our organization. The fun part about this is applicable to any type of sales. You're going to see stuff here when you're watching, when we go through this deck, it's just sales related. And so I'll kind of keep tying things into our organization. If you have questions, obviously stop me and get going, but we want it to be as interactive as possible, and we want to make sure that we get something that we can take home to our location and start using right away. So the first thing that I shared, and this is something that I was thinking about when I was deck, I've heard this. I've been in the organization for 4 years, and one of the things I've heard is it's still a kitchen table business. That's what they'll say. It's the same business, and it's true. People buy funeral and cemetery agreements today in 2019 for the same reasons that they did in 1999 and 1989 and on and on and on. And what's changing, though, is how we get to the kitchen table. It's changing a lot. And what you'll notice is there's people, your customers, your clients, they're more knowledgeable today than at any other point in time. So, Katie, why do you think that the customer is changing today?
With the technology at their disposal, I think people are able to kind of research and just be more informed as a consumer in general.
Absolutely. So it's kind of a layup because I know the slide says in a digital world, but you're right, Katie. There's more access to information. This is the age of information. People have more access to information than at any other point in time. The customer is more knowledgeable today when they walk in our door to sit down with us, or when you walk in the home. Chances are they've had more information than you have any idea that they have. And so we want to talk about the change in that customer. But first, let's start by talking very simply. When Ryan came in Q2, we had a great 3 months. It was over 100% of the territory. A lot of people had a lot of success. Then we go into Q3, and we kind of stub our toe. And so, I'm a baseball guy, so I'll call it a slump. But what causes a sales slump? So somebody here in Denver, Justin, what causes a sales slump?
I think, when you have a downward trend, it can just perpetuate itself a little bit. So
yeah, so it can just keep getting worse. It feels like quicksand. Michael, what do you think? Michael at Chapel, what do you think about what causes a sales slump?
Elections.
What's that?
Elections.
Elections, like political elections, okay. Maybe some uncertainty.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. How about Julie in Omaha? What do you think?
The economy.
The economy, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all factors too. Those are all factors. Think maybe internally what causes a sales slump, like something that you can control. I don't know if any of us have the control over necessarily the economy or political elections. What do we think from an internal perspective causes a sales slump? Okay, our own mind, absolutely. And
attitude.
What? What was that?
Your attitude.
Your attitude, absolutely. Your attitude definitely impacts it, but...
How about burnout?
Okay.
Failure to plan.
Failure to plan, okay. I clicked it. I'm surprised no one... I'm not going to lie, the first group picked up on the slides a little faster than the second group. But what we're going to talk about today is, a sales slump comes from an empty pipeline. And an empty pipeline is the root cause of that would just be a lack of prospecting. And really that prospecting is just your sustained success. That's how you build a book of business. And one of the things that, like I said, I'm excited about this deck and this presentation. So you'll notice there at the bottom, it actually comes from Jed Blount, and he wrote a book called Fanatical Prospecting. If you haven't read it, it's a great book. If you're in sales, you should check it out. Well, it's really interesting to me because I've gotten a lot of decks from the company that are Salesforce, and it's our Salesforce, or the Conversation, or Beacon, and it's all of our stuff, right? This is us going out there and getting sales knowledge and skills and tools and trying to capture it and then make it our own and then cascade it down. So, like I said, I'm excited about it because it comes from a very well-known source. So the reality is, the brutal truth is prospecting is hard and nobody wants to do it. How many of you wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to call a bunch of people who weren't expecting me? Nobody's hand in Denver went up. Did anybody's hand go up on the phone?
Oh, that's actually kind of fun.
Michael thinks it's fun to call people who aren't expecting you? Okay. Can we forward the information to Andrew? So prospecting in general, though, is hard. And, we kind of talked about this. We talked about logging activity. We talked about measuring activity. You can talk about all those things. Well, the reality is it's yeah, I need a prospect. I need to set 2 appointments a day, and I'll be fine, right? It sounds simple. It sounds easy. As easy as it sounds, it's just a little bit easier not to do that. And so when you start looking at it, there is no easy button. And when you kind of get into it, sorry. My clicker. Stop clicking. Hang on a second. There we go. So the superstars view prospecting as a way of life, very simply. The first thing is stop hoping that things were going to be easier. It is what it is, and it takes what it takes. And I know that sounds like this really general term, but it takes what it takes to be successful. And Ryan said this in the first group, so maybe I'm stealing his thunder a little bit, but the superstars manage their day to the results. They don't manage their day to time or, I did so much or I got caught up in this. They manage their day to the results. And so the first step is to stop hoping that things are going to get easier, because they're not. Now, we can find tools that will make us more efficient. We can find ways to master our craft and be better than we were before, but it's never going to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be in sales. You guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, sales is the most fun profession that you can have. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? Flexible, good paychecks, fun, but it's not. So we have to implement a strategy, and I was fortunate enough, I've read this book, but I was with Matt Whaley, the market director in Denver yesterday. He shared this with us. He said, good leaders have quotes, great leaders have a plan, and exceptional or elite leaders have a strategy. And so you can apply that to prospecting. I was joking earlier, I've written a lot of sales meetings in the 4 years that I've been here, and you get to they teach us to do a RIM sales meeting, so recognition, information, motivation. And you get to that motivation piece and you go, I know what I'll do. I'll find a good quote on prospecting. So you open up Google and you type prospecting quotes, right? Or you walk down the halls of a sales office and there's quotes on the wall, right? And they're motivational quotes, rah-rah quotes. But that's all that they are. Right? Motivation works for a little bit, and then you got to find something else. You got to find that drive. So we want to implement a strategy to get better. So here's some things that superstars don't do. Justin, why don't you read those for us and talk loud so everybody on the phone can hear you?
Sure, they don't make excuses. Like, it's not a good time to call because they might be at lunch. Complain when nobody's calling me back. Whine that the leads are bad.
Nobody does that, right? Nobody has ever said that these are bad leads, right? It's okay to laugh, guys. I know it's after lunch. I know we're tired. I know everybody's got some food sitting in their stomach, and I'm talking, and they're just starting to nod off in their chair. That's okay. I'll keep going. Don't worry.
Some are bad, though.
Okay, some are bad, but we talked earlier that your perspective and your mindset can directly impact your success. Go ahead and finish, Justin.
Sure, we don't live in fear. Like, what if she says no, or what if it's a bad time? And don't procrastinate. I don't have time right now. I'll catch up tomorrow.
And that's one that I see happen all the time. And again, it doesn't. The thing I love about this deck, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Those don't apply to selling anything that you could sell. And I don't have time right now. I'll catch up tomorrow. You're going to fill your calendar full of tomorrows, because I'll get to it. It's like that family that'll be back on Tuesday. The be-backs? They're my favorite family. You can put them in Salesforce every Tuesday night during call night. It's like a guarantee. The be-backs? Yeah, I got an in-home with the be-backs, because they'll be back on Tuesday. So, superstars prospects. So why don't Jen up in Fort Collins, why don't you read the prospecting ones for us?
When times are good, because superstars know that a rainy day is right around the corner. Times are bad, because superstars know it's the key to survival. We don't feel like it, because superstars are driven to keep their pipeline full. So just think, one more call.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen. And it's that mantra, just one more call, because here's the best part about our business, it just takes one. You could sit down with a husband and wife and write 2 traditional burials and sell $20,000 just like that. And you never know when that's coming. It might just be the next call. But you got to keep that And you got to do it when it's not easy, because it's not easy. When you don't feel like it, because again, I don't wake up every day feeling like prospecting is high on my list of to-dos today. But I know I got to do it because I want to be successful. So 30-day rule of prospecting, why don't we have, Dan, why don't you read this one for me?
30-day rule of prospecting, activity, good, bad, lack of, impacts you in the next 90 days. Miss one day equals bites in the next 90 days. Miss 1 week, feel it in your commission. Miss 1 month, tank your pipeline. It all compounds quickly. 1 day a week for a month equals 4 to 5 days a month.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. So think about this. So how many appointments a day are we looking for? 2 appointments a day, right? That's kind of the standard. I want to have 2 appointments a day. I want to have 10 appointments in a week, right? There's 4 weeks in a month, so I'm looking for 40 appointments in a month. So let's say this. What if I miss, you know what, today it's October 3rd, it's Thursday, and tomorrow, I'm still tired from the end of the month, end of the quarter, so I haven't really gotten a lot done today, and tomorrow's Friday. I'll probably kind of coast or take it easy tomorrow. So let's say from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, I didn't set any appointments. So I lost the opportunity for how many appointments? 8. So subtract 8 from your total of 40. Now you're trying to hit your same number in 32 appointments. Push that out over an entire quarter, and all of a sudden you're lacking of, let's say, 120 over 3 months, and you're going to miss 24 of them. So you're going to miss almost 20%. You're trying to write 100% of your business in somewhere between 75 and 80% of your time. That's tough, right? So it compounds quickly, like it says up here. You take off the gas once, and you're playing catch-up. It's the common theme. If I could fix it, I'd probably be just a sales trainer at this point. But salespeople, by nature, the last week of the month, you're going to close hard, right? Why is that?
Because you took the first week off.
Because we probably took the first week off, and we put ourselves behind the 8 ball, and we ran out of time, and now we're kind of just hammering everything in, and then we come up for air because we're so exhausted, right? Well, then, how many of you have had the misfortune of, I had that last week lined up, and that last week was going to get me where I wanted to be, but then guess what? It snowed. Does it ever snow in our territory? Yeah, we've got some of the snowier places. Or people just don't show up or whatever, and then all of a sudden the 14 appointments I needed the last week of the month, through normal attrition, I only get 7 and I fall short because I took time off. So the beginning of the month is just as important as the end, and what you're seeing here is actually what you're doing today is going to cascade over your next 90 days. So we have to put this focus on that. So ignore the rule and you'll wake up 90 days later in a sales slump, desperate, feeling like a loser with no clue how you ended there. And I thought that this was a relevant quote for us in our territory where we sit today, because in Q2, banner quarter, we came out guns blazing, we're over 100%. I think probably, Ryan, I don't know what your percent of managers over quota and teams over quota, probably 80%. So 80 to 90% of us are feeling high all the time. It's a great quarter. And guess what? We took our eye off of that pipeline and we paid for it in Q3. And we started stumbling. And then you start feeling desperate. It says you feel like a loser with no clue how you end up there. How many of you have felt that anxiety? I have, right? How many of you went to bed the last week of September going, man, I hope tomorrow's better. You woke up, you opened your Salesforce, and it's the same picture. It didn't get any better. Nobody set any appointments overnight, right? I wish that happened. That'd be better. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we keep this focus, and what we're going to do today is we're going to level set a little bit. We're going to talk about some of our goals in prospecting. We're going to talk about some of the new ways that we can get in front of that digital consumer. We're going to show you some of the stuff that the company is doing to drive activity and drive business for you guys. And then we're going to take a break, and on the second half, we'll kind of talk about our approach to this type of consumer. But really, what excited me about it, I was talking to Ryan when I said that I'm sure next week presented a little bit different because it's more catered to the digital consumer. I think this applies to any type of lead source that we have. You can take this similar approach to everybody, and that's what excites me about it. So let's see. How about Julie? What's the goal of prospecting?
Omaha?
Yeah.
Julia.
Yeah, Julia in Omaha. What's the goal of prospecting?
Make appointments.
Make appointments. Yeah, absolutely. Jen, in Fort Collins, what's the goal of prospecting?
I believe to build relationships that lead to a sale.
Good. Build relationships that lead to a sale. Good. I like that. Justin, what's your goal of prospecting?
Well, those, but also just keep your momentum going forward, keep yourself in the conversation, kind of.
Awesome. Keep yourself in the game. Keep yourself in the conversation. So notice none of you said that the goal of prospecting is to sell anything, which is true. You can't sell over the phone. I mean, have we done it before? Yeah, I'm sure everybody could point to that one time they did it. And if that one time you did it was valued at somewhere around $1 million, then you're probably okay. But usually the ones that you can sell over the phone are like the direct cremation that, you know, okay, thanks, I'm glad I got that done and I didn't have to put any miles on my car. Right? The goal of prospecting, though, is to start a conversation with the prospect and secure a sales appointment. And what we're trying to do today is minimize your efforts, maximize your efficiency. Right? So we'll say that again. Start a conversation with the prospect and secure the sales appointment. Because one of the things that we can do, or I think we have a tendency to do, is we put so much pressure on ourselves to sell. And we want to put pressure on the process, not the person. Does that make sense? You want to have a system, and we're going to put a lot of pressure on that system because we know that sales leaves trails, right? Success leaves clues. We've had a very successful organization. We've got the system. We continue to enhance the system, which you'll see. Let's put pressure on that system, do the work day in and day out. We'll get the success later, right? But we want to make sure that the other thing that you're doing, if you don't get an appointment, are you engaging and starting a conversation? Because if you don't have anybody to call in October, it means you didn't reach out to enough people 30, 60, 90 days ago. Does that make sense? And we have this tool at our disposal that would help us remember to call the Pudens family in October. I talked to them in the summer, and then they said, you know what, this is on our list of things to do. We need to get through back to school. Can you call me in October? What's that tool, Jeff?
A task.
A task and what? What would you put? There you go, Salesforce. Any chance I get to promote Salesforce, I'm going to. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. So prospecting in today's digital world, you'll notice it says we follow the same similar path: engage, identify, and secure. So when you see NAS, that stands for North America Sales, so think the company. These are things that the company is doing for you, and this is where you come in to mix it. So we're going to talk about what do you need to know about our digital marketing efforts. We're going to outline some of the digital customer and success factors for securing the appointment with that specific customer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spend the second half mastering that message and developing your strategy for these types of campaigns. Make sense? And I'll give you a break in the middle. So what do you need to know about marketing in today's digital age? So there's a couple of things that I think are real powerful that we're able to do. The first one is just track data. So it says cookies on steroids, organically deliver targeted display ads, retarget customers to relevant choices. So how many of you have opened up Facebook or an app on your phone or gone to a website, and wouldn't you know it, that pair of shoes that you were looking at just keeps following you around, right? It's like they'll wear me down eventually. Or if I look at something on Amazon and it's $24.99, 3 days later, if I haven't bought it, I get an email, and wouldn't you know the price is lowered to $24.97? It wasn't a price thing. They just stayed in front of me, right? Well, we're able to do that now where people are seeing our banner ads follow them because we want to stay top of mind. We spent a lot of money and put a lot of effort in there. So, Dan, read the buying audiences for me.
Buying audiences focus on intent to buy, right ad, right moment for provides more connections, often come at a premium, leveraging search versus display.
And it's important because we're tracking intent to buy behaviors. The data now becomes actionable and concrete, and this provides as sure a bet as you can. So what we're saying is we're able to give you more relevant leads, people that are actively searching for us. We have a digital story out there that we've controlled that's driving these people to you. I'll tell this story. I told it in the first group as well. So I read this book. It's called The Power of Habit. And the story is that if you think this is creepy, this is why I'm sharing this story. If you think it's creepy that we're tracking this data and we're following these people around. So the book, The Power of Habit, they tell a story about Target, and they have this data analytics department. And what they do is they use that for advertising. So this dad, he lives in town, and he gets all of these advertisements addressed to his daughter for maternity clothes. His daughter's 17 years old. He's getting these advertisements for maternity clothes. Guy walks into Target, he grabs the manager, grabs him by the neck, and says, "Stop sending my 17-year-old daughter maternity clothing. Like, she doesn't need that. What are you talking about? This is ridiculous, and it's insulting." And then 3 weeks later, the daughter has to go to her dad and say, "Hey, Dad, there's something I'm not telling you." And it turns out she's pregnant. So how do they know that? Well, this data analytics department is able to track what she's looking at on their website, her purchases through Target, and what they can then compile is a customer profile that says, "Hey, we've seen this before. People that are looking at this and buying this are usually at this stage of life and start buying that." So what they were able to do is use this data to start marketing that, and we're doing those same things. So people that are searching for things that are relevant, that kind of identify in our customer profile, we're now able to talk to them, right? Because I looked it up, there's 5.6 million people in Colorado, and I apologize to the Iowa and Nebraska folk, I don't have yours. But Matt Powell had said there's like, what, Matt, 1 million people in Omaha? Yeah, so we've got 1 million people in Omaha, and what's the death rate in Omaha? Julia, what's your death rate in Omaha?
I don't know.
It's a trick question. It's 100%. Everybody's going to die eventually, right? But that doesn't mean everybody's your customer right now. Everybody will be in the market for our goods and services. They might not be right now. So we want to find the ones that are right now, right? So we're able to use this digital data to help you get in front of people in a more relevant scenario. So again, we want to connect this to a digital strategy. So about a year ago, our company hired Jamie Pierce as our new Chief Marketing Officer, and her background is in digital marketing. And so you've seen her drive a lot of these initiatives. Like, all of our websites have been updated. And it's not just a look and a feel, it's all the back-end stuff that drives search engine optimization and things like that. So our digital vision, Tiffany, why don't you read this with us?
Remain relevant with consumers. Online presence becomes as important as physical locations. Leverage the scale of our dominant digital position to educate and engage consumers, increasing awareness, preference, and leads.
Thank you. So there's a couple of things that stick out to me on that are different. One, our online presence has become as important as our physical locations. And the reason for that is consumers 20 years ago had to come to us to get information about what we do, right? And today they just have to take their phone out of their pocket and type in something. There's more compute power in your pocket than there was like on the first computer that was made, right? You can do more on your phone than ever before. So we're entering this age where the consumers have all of this knowledge. So we want to control the story. They're coming to us to get the story, so we want to make sure it. How many of you have had an appointment and the customer looked at you and goes, "Now I know what the average burial costs. The NFDA told me what the average burial costs," before you even started? Have you had that experience?
Mm-hmm.
I've had that experience. I had a woman who sat down, put a piece of paper on the table and said, "Here's the average cremation pricing in Denver." I looked at her and I said, "Well, I'm I don't know if you want to be here, right? I mean, I could tell you why we're at the top, but I knew where we were, right? So we want to do that. And then the other thing is, notice in the last part it says we want to educate and engage consumers. The buyers today are different in that they want you to educate and provide value to them first, and then they'll buy from us, right? So some key areas of focus. Jeff, why don't you read the top one for me?
Drive lead generation through paid search advertising, SEM, search engine optimization, SEO, retargeting banner ads, and A/B testing to drive conversion rates up.
Thank you. So that paid advertising, when you go to Google and you type something in and you see ad next to it, they paid to be there. Okay? What are some ways that we can organically drive lead generation through this? What are some ideas that you have?
More content on our website.
More content on our website, yep. What else? In the first group, let's see. Michael, what do you think we can do? Michael at Chapel.
Sorry. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
That's okay. So we're talking about how do we organically drive people to our websites? How can we organically drive search engine optimization? What's one way?
Well, that's to make sure that we're at the top of the Google search.
Okay, so you said it right there. We're going to be at the top of the Google search, and Google is the one we want, right? Nobody uses Ask Jeeves anymore.
Or Bing.
Or Bing. Usually I get a chuckle out of Ask Jeeves. This lunch, you guys must have all sat down and just had the most hearty lunches ever.
No lunch.
Okay, but the idea... Okay, well maybe that's the problem too. You're all fading on you. Everyone's blood sugar is at an all-time low. So, but he said it, Google. Everybody goes to Google. Google it became common talk in our everyday language. And so to drive ourselves up in Google, we have to increase our Google reviews. So are you talking to customers about that, both from an at-need and a pre-need perspective? If you have a great pre-need experience, why wouldn't you ask them to give us a Google review? That's just going to drive more traffic to us in the long run, okay? So we want to improve the customer experience and engagement. We do that through different enhancements to our website, adding brand families, things of that nature. We've rolled out a social media pilot. So for those of you that don't know, we're involved in Facebook now at a corporate level, so they're starting to get into those avenues as well. And then we want to innovate and stay relevant with the consumer. And the part that I think is really, really helpful is we have an online education and self-discovery website. How many of you have clicked around on our website? Little bit. If you go down and you start clicking enough, you can get to places where you can download brochures, you can get information. I've done it. I did it. I'll pick on Mates. I went and looked at McLaren Rest Haven, and I put in my contact information, and Mates called me. 2 days later. No, I'm just kidding. Mates called me right away. So the idea is there's a lot of resources that we're putting out there because we want to control the message and we want to educate. So here's a little bit of what the segmentation looks like. So if you're on our website, you can get to these landing pages, and you'll see there's a place for them to put their contact information. So let me ask you guys this. So Jen, in Fort Collins, what do you think our conversion rate today is on any type of lead? So ACVs, walk-ins, call-ins, whatever. What do you think our conversion rate is on leads or accounts into sales?
I guess 33%.
33%. That's a pretty fair guess. That's a good guess. I'd say you're probably right in terms of those avenues. Do we think anything else in this room?
I was going to say 50, but...
Okay, well maybe walk-ins are 50. I hope we can convert walk-ins
28 to 30.
28 to 30, so we're still kind of in that 1 in 3 range. So from a digital perspective, there's a 43% increase in the conversion rate. So what we're telling you is that these web leads convert a lot more. These digital leads convert a lot more. Why do you think that might be? Justin, why do you think that might be?
It's a very intentional lead. You put in information, you want to be contacted.
Right? I mean, these are people that are actively seeking us out. And what's the hardest part of your job? The hardest part of your job is finding people who want to talk about funeral and cemetery arrangements, right? It's not comfortable. I mean, we built that into our sales pitch, right? I understand this isn't an easy conversation. Kudos to you for having it. So, what do you guys need to know about them? So let's ask you this. Let's go with Judy in Omaha. What is your definition of a lead?
My definition of a lead is anyone who has shown interest in the industry or pre-planning.
Okay, so anyone who showed interest, good. Sheila in Lincoln, what about you? Are you on mute? Did I lose you? I put her to sleep. Might have. Fair. Wouldn't be the first time. Ernie, what's your definition of a lead?
You know, having someone in front of you, but they have to have the wherewithal or the money to go ahead.
Okay, so that's a qualified lead, right? So not only somebody who's in front of us, but somebody who can purchase, right? Who can, has the interest, but also can. And then, what's the definition of a digital lead? Is it the same? Dan thinks so, yeah?
Because as Justin said, it's intentional. They came to us.
Yeah.
To me, a lead could be just a name on a piece of paper.
Right.
That you got to develop and qualify.
Yeah.
So these are huge.
Absolutely.
Huge.
I mean, I would love if all we ever called upon was leads that are people that are interested in our services. That would be a lot better for everybody if we could just fill our sales force. But how many of you have gotten a bunch of leads or accounts in your sales force that said, hey, these are under so-and-so's name, now they're yours, I need you to work them? We've never done that before, right? We wouldn't, because we would just fill your funnel. Now, there are going to be times when you got to do that because part of your job in prospecting is to engage, start a conversation, qualify leads. That's part of the game, right? But what we're saying is the digital leads, to Justin's point, are very intentional. They're seeking us out, and we've got to be ready to capitalize on them. So here's some information about the audience that you're coming to. So these seniors, ever since I started in the organization, this is what 4 years ago, this is what they told me. Tom, they're recruiting me. They say, Tom, it's a great time to join our organization. The baby boomers are coming. Dan, you and I started relatively similar times. They probably told you that as well.
That's why I sought this business out.
The baby boomers are coming. So they're going to tell you, this is a great time to be here. Well, I'm telling you, it's an even better time to be here because the baby boomers aren't coming anymore. They're here. And they're digitally savvy. How many of your parents are on Facebook? Remember, Facebook's not cool anymore because everybody's parents got on it, right? So they're digitally savvy, and they're constantly warned that they're a target for fraud and scams over the phone and online. So has anybody this is news to me, but in the first group, somebody told us that on the new iPhone update, there's actually a button that you can push that just blocks unknown callers. Venus says there is. How many of you, okay, let's ask you this too. So, Jen in Fort Collins, I have a 303 number. You probably don't have my cell phone number in your phone. If I were to dial and call you, would you answer it?
No.
Well, why not?
Because I don't know who you are.
You don't know who I am, right? And that's kind of the way we do business now. I mean, that's pretty normal. If you put yourself in a buying situation, that's kind of how it works. Like, I'll be honest, I might have your number in my phone, and there's still a pretty good chance that you're going to go to voicemail first so that I can at least see what you want to talk about. Right? Ouch. Not you, Tiffany. I would just answer.
Right.
But you got Medicare scams, you got Social Security, the whole grandma scam that came out, all of these different things. And we've got to find ways, because the baby boomers are particularly skeptical by nature. 41 billion robocalls in 2018. That's a 47% increase year over year. And the average number is 8 over a 2-day period. So let me ask you another question. How many of you, when you see that number on your cell phone, you Google it?
I do that.
I do it.
I do.
And how many of you, when you Google that number, the first thing that pops up on Google is potential scam, robocaller.
Like tons
right?
of reviews, and people will mark them as negative, and that they don't receive calls from them.
Yeah, like, so they're already out there saying, like, hey, just so you know, that number's up to no good. And what's the new one now where they call you from, like, a number that's almost identical to yours, but it's one number off? It's like they're trying to catch you, like you would ever answer a phone call from yourself. I don't know why that became a thing, but it did. Okay? So we want to be able to position ourselves better because guess what? It's hard to get their attention. And if you look at that number, 41 billion robocalls, there's a lot of people trying to get their attention, right? So you are the unknown entity until you establish credibility, and that's kind of what we're going to shift our conversation to. We've got to establish credibility. So why don't we have Jeff read me some of these numbers? So just start, best time to response. Why don't you read me the top one?
Within 5 minutes, there's a 900% increase in contact rate.
So the lead makes a better connection when we've taken action online to contact within 5 minutes. Now, how many of you in your daily business, in your day-to-day business, have the opportunity, as soon as you get a lead pushed to us, in 5 minutes you can make a call? Oh, can you? What if you're in an appointment?
Excuse myself, I have to go to the ladies' room, I'll be right back.
Yeah, you better not do that if you're sitting in front of an appointment, right? And that's taking into account, let's hope that the sales manager also wasn't in an appointment and was able to push it out to somebody, right? So what we have done as a territory is partnered with a group called Marketize It. And they are getting our digital leads with the idea that it's a call center and they are ready to call. So these go in and they go right to the top of their list and they're contacted within 5 minutes. How many of you have ever gone on a website and put in your information on a chat, like, hey, please talk to me? I have. What usually happens?
They call you back and send you an email.
They call you or they send you an email. Dan, you said you did it this week. How fast did they contact you?
I was stunned. I was called before I was done entering my data. I'm serious.
Yeah.
It happened that way.
So they're fast.
Is it good or bad?
They're fast, right? There's a 10 times decrease after the first 5 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, it would requires persistence to keep that contact. Why do you think that is? They're on the next site.
Depending on whatever it is they moved on to. It could be a competitor, it could be taking care of the kids, it could be anything. People move so fast these days.
Yep. The attention spans are super short. I poked fun at myself. I said, here's the deal. I might get online and get some information or plug in some information, but probably just in the time it would take me to close the browser, I've probably also just gone to like ESPN and MLB.com just to check up on things. And I might do that every time I open a browser. Nothing changed an hour ago, but I still just double checked it, right, just to see. Maybe my fantasy team magically did better or something. They didn't, but the idea is before I even close the browser, you already lost my attention, right? I'm already paying attention to something else. So we've got to stay relevant and we've got to stay in front of them. I love this slide. The best time to make contact with our consumer would be the morning or the afternoon. So the best time to call would be when, Justin?
Late in the day, 4 and 5 o'clock.
So yeah, between 4 and 5, looks like 3:30 to 5:30 are the best times to make calls. So maybe we should shift our call nights, right? Well, are you going to sit at your desk from 3:30 to 5:30 and make calls?
If that's the time we're doing it.
Okay.
Sometimes, because you might have an appointment at that.
Sometimes, but it's not always possible, right?
But sometimes I agree with that, that's a good time, because sometimes you can even get them to come in.
That night, right? Because they're off work, they're out and about. Why don't you? I'll get you what you're looking for. Great point. So we know that the best time to call is 3:30 to 5:30. The second best time to call earlier in the morning. Why would that be?
Had your coffee, you're ready to chat, you're optimistic.
They haven't gone to the doctor's appointment.
Right? Well, yeah. Right, Dan? That's exactly.
They're gonna hit the streets at 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
their appointment.
That's it, right? They're out and about. You can catch them before they go. And if you think about that, how many places are out to get their attention before us? There's 2 or 3, as soon as they walk out the door, there's 2 or 3 things that are out there to get their attention, right? So here's your chances of making contact. It says persistence paid. Jen, why don't you go, can you still see the screen, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and read some of that for us?
Persistence pays, chance of making contact, 90% increase with 6 calls. Don't stop at the first one.
I really like when the people read it like they're reading me, like they're engaged in that reading. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate you. So 3 factors that most impact the touch points. Because remember, the chance to make contact is with 6 calls. How many of you are actively making 6 calls to try and contact somebody? PPA better raise their hand. Good. PPA better raise their hand. Right? Or how many of us stop after 1 or 2 and say, well, they're obviously not interested?
That's what most do.
Most people stop after 1 or 2.
Sales people will stop.
And I learned this in a previous sales life, but it holds true today. And it's much better to make 10 calls to 10 people than 1 call to 100 people.
Repeat that.
It's much better to make 10 calls to 10 people than 1 call to 100 people. It's a concept, it's better to go deep than it is necessarily to go wide. Because we know it takes 6 calls to get contact with somebody. So if I made 10 to 10, I'm probably going to have a better chance of getting their attention. And remember, the goal of prospecting is to start a conversation and secure an appointment. Best answer is, yeah, I'll sit down with you. Second best answer is, no, please don't call me anymore. Because then I go, okay, and I can move on to the next, right? If part of my goal is to fill my pipeline with qualified prospects, right? And I think that's where we miss sometimes. We're putting pressure on ourselves instead of the process. The pressure is on yourself to make a sale or set an appointment, and if you don't do either of those things, then you fail, right? But what if you're engaging? What if you're starting a conversation, qualifying prospects, creating interest, creating urgency, and developing need? Well, those are the people that fill your pipeline. Does that make sense? Okay, so 3 factors that most impact the number of touch points required. Number 1, credibility. Ernie, why don't you read that?
Credibility. If someone isn't familiar with you or your brand, it can take them longer to warm up.
Right? So if I'm Tom calling from ABC company you don't know about, it's going to take me a while. Right? Michael, read the second one.
So price. Many customers don't have anchor price points. Emphasize, we have affordable options for all budgets.
Right? We'll meet you where you're at. Don't worry about that. Right? That's in our intention statement. I'm going to make sure that I work inside your budget. Don't worry about that part. We've got something that can meet you there. Tiffany, read this one.
Need versus want. Change their want to a need. Explain how it adds value to their life or solves an issue they have, and then our purpose.
Good. So we're making it relevant to the customer. All right. It is 1:55. We've been going at it for about an hour. Let's take a 10-minute break. Come back in at 2:05 in Denver, 3:05 in the Central Time Zone, and we'll finish up the second half. We're going to give you a little bit more data, and then we're going to break out into groups to let you start working on some of your own individual messaging, all right? So take 10 minutes.
Okay, so Michael, am I on? Are you hearing me? How come I hear myself in my ear? Yeah, but do I have a mute right now? I mean, I'm connected. So does this mean I'm connected?
Yes, and you're not muted either.
Oh, that one's not? Okay.
You guys are still here, I just put you on mute for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, it's 2:06. I gave you an extra minute, so we'll go ahead and we will jump back in. The second part today, we're going to have some more engagement. So please make sure you got something to write with or type with or whatever it is. We're going to be calling around, but we want to talk about mastering our message for this digital customer. And this was a video that doesn't play, so we'll get to this. But in the mind of the customer, here's what's relevant. One, how simple is it? How simple is your message? And how simple is it to do business with you? We've made great strides with Beacon, especially, to make it easier to do business with us. If you remember writing manual contracts and manual insurance paperwork, and then the joke that every family goes would say, it's like buying a house, right? And now with Beacon, they just sign it once and just start clicking. So we're making it more simple to do business with us. The next question, when I'm prospecting the customer, this is in the mind of the customer, they're going to ask themselves, does this person bring value to what I'm doing? Does this person bring value to me? If you don't bring value, you're not going to get your foot in the door. And is this aligned with my needs, beliefs, and goals? And how big of a priority is this to me right now? And our job is to create urgency, change that, that want to a need, and make this a priority for them. So, in the mind of this is really, I thought this was really cool. But if you see it, the little thing slide. But keep it simple, become invaluable, be relevant, stay aligned, and of course, make it a priority. And so that says SNAP. So this came from Jill Conrad through SNAP selling. So again, like I shared with you, we talked about fanatical prospecting from Jeff Blunt. Now we've got another, just a sales trainer, right? We're trying to bring you quality sales information that can be applied to any type of sales, but we want to make it relevant to what it is that we do. And so just the different types of communication. So we're going to go over some examples, the good, the bad, the deleted. So how many of you have set appointments or created relationships or done business with somebody by text message? Most every hand in Denver has gone up. What about in Omaha? Has anybody had any experience texting customers?
No.
No. Okay. What about in Lincoln?
They've all done it here.
Okay. So part of that is remember, we played the game and Jen lives in the same state as me, and if I call her, she's not answering, right? But I can send her a text, tell her who I am, and then she gets to decide, right? So here's an example, a couple of bad examples. And you can see here, Jennifer, thanks for downloading our planning guide. It's a comprehensive journal that will guide you through the tidal wave of emotional and financial decisions that must be made during one of the most difficult. No. Notice they signed it, I'm a rambler. It's punny. I'm a dad now, so I think those jokes are funny. Right? But look how long it is. Look how much it is. Look at the signature block. All of these things, okay? Here's a better one. Introduction. Set the context. Keep it brief and creating a personalized, templated response. Here's another example of a good one. Notice, this would have follow-ups, okay? So this text is from somebody who requested information. So think somebody that's gone on digitally and requested some information. What are a couple of things that you see that are positives in that messaging? Tiffany, what's one good thing that you see in that messaging?
That you get right to the point, who's calling, and then what the purpose of the text is, and conclude quickly. And leave a question. We have to answer. People will not answer you if you leave a question.
Yeah, so a question or some type of call to action. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, let's engage here. I'm not just giving you information, let's engage, right? Absolutely. She also said it's short and it's to the point. Remember, nobody is expecting the funeral home to call you. Like, I don't wake up in the morning expecting sales, like, there's nobody out there that I'm looking for. I certainly would be caught off guard a little bit if the funeral home called me. Could you use the same type of messaging on the phones? Like just making phone calls. Could you use the same type of messaging sending emails, right? It works. And you'll notice that they all kind of work in conjunction together as we kind of go through this. These are text messages. No, so yeah, right? So the messaging is almost so similar that it can be applied to both. So what we're going to do is take a second and master the introduction via text message. So remember, what are you trying to do? You're trying to pique their interest, establish some credibility. Remember, they don't have an anchor point for price. So what we're going to do is take a couple of minutes. You can partner up. You can write it down for yourself. What's a text message that you would send somebody who's interested in information? Go. Venus is just going straight to the text, pulling it up. It's like, I'll show you, Tom. So you'll remember probably 3 or 4 months ago, we went through a similar training on prospecting, had a lot of these same key points. Now we're just kind of tweaking a little bit to create a strategy. And Ryan talked about it at the beginning, but you know, the 10-10-10, that's not for Ryan's health. He doesn't want you to send emails, letters, and make phone calls because we're placating Ryan. There's the method to that madness. So give you another minute, and then we'll go around and we'll get some examples of some ideas, okay? Kind of, sort of. All right, who wants to share an idea? Tiffany's got she wrote a text, I can see that.
Well, this is a real one, and I did get a sale from it.
Okay, share that with us. This is, everyone, hold on. This is a real text message that Tiffany sent that resulted in a sale.
Hi, Leticia. It's Tiffany from Olinger. I hope you're having a good week. Just wanted to check in with you on the bronze. Did you have a chance to talk things over with your family? I'm here this Saturday if you'd like to take advantage of the discount extension. Let me know what you think. ...
The ominous ... at the end of the text message. No, but there's some really positive. She gave a call to action. She said, I've got time on Saturday for you. Did you get all your questions answered, right? And that was a little bit different because she's had a relationship, obviously. But my guess is if you're sending a text message, that person's probably not responding to phone calls, right? I think as salespeople, we all typically, you know, my background, I was a prospector. I was on the phone. That's my background. You gave me a list of names. You told me what to say. I dialed 100 numbers and I said it. And so this is different for me, but one of the things that I've learned, and this is relevant, and I'll share some stories as we go, it's not our customer's job to consume information the way I want to deliver it. It's not my job to consume information the way I want to deliver it. It's my job to deliver information the way they want to consume it. Become a good listener. Because just because I'm talking on a phone call, they might not like to talk on the phone. Not everybody likes to talk on the phone. Right? So, who wants to give me another? Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing. Why don't we get another example? What about somebody in Lincoln? What do we think? I put Lincoln to bed. What about Michael at Chapel Hill?
Okay, I got, hi, Tom. Michael Clark with Mount Lindo Cemetery. I'm happy to help you with your options at the top of the cross. Give me a call, and we will schedule a time this week to meet.
Awesome. Short, sweet, to the point. Call to action. I like it. Good job, Michael. Make it easier on me next time, though. I'll just tell you by text what time I'm coming up for you. But thank you. Good job, Michael. So now, like we talked about, that text message can also apply to a phone call or a voicemail. So here's some examples of maybe bad voicemails or bad intro calls. Hello, prospect. My name is Tom from XZY Funeral Home. I'm following up on the text message I sent you earlier. You recently downloaded one of our guides. I'd really love to talk to you. Of course I would, right? I'm a salesperson. Pretty please call me back. My number is this day. Okay? And you know, you don't have to raise your hand, but like, have you caught yourself? Have we fallen into the trap of maybe this type of messaging to families, right? Part of the reason why we do this training, why we do these trainings is because, you know, if we don't practice our craft, we can develop bad habits. And if we go long enough with bad habits, we end up in sales slump. And we can stop it really early on by practicing your craft. If you read the book Fanatical Prospecting, one of the things that he talks about doing is every day before he would start, he would call and leave his pitch on his own voicemail. So on his way to work, he'd call himself and give his pitch. So the first time he gave his pitch wasn't to a customer. It was to himself. And then he could listen back to it and catch himself, oh, I am doing that. Oh, that's bad. I want to tweak that. That's a relevant idea, right? Master your craft so that the first time you pick up the phone, I mean, this has happened to me before. The first time, so I was calling people, this is my old life, but I'm calling people. They gave me a list of addresses and just said, start calling the businesses at these addresses. So I just started going down the list. And, it's voicemail, 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 voicemail. And then all of a sudden, a live person answered the phone and said, hey, how can I help you? And I went, I don't know. And I just hung up the phone. Self-sabotage because I wasn't ready to give my pitch when it was go time, right? So are we mastering our craft? Are we taking prospecting seriously? Go back to the very beginning. This is what's filling your pipeline. Are we taking it serious enough? Are we blocking out time on your calendar? If you don't have prospecting in as an appointment on your Salesforce calendar, you're going to miss because it's actually more important than the people that are sitting in front of you because you got to hit more of them, right? Okay, so bad intro call. Don't do what I did. Be prepared. Have a plan. That's what you said, Tiffany, right? Be prepared. Here's some better ones. Notice they give their number multiple times. They share their name. Look forward to connecting with you. Someone in the first group said, it's a little wordy for me. That's okay. It doesn't have to be as wordy as that. It should come across conversational. If you have to speed race through a voicemail, they're not going to listen to it. Right? So let's go back in, take a second, we'll pop back out for a couple minutes, and now master the intro call. So I'll leave this up here, but this is your intro call or a voicemail that you would leave to a potential customer who's requested information from us. Okay, so take a few minutes and do that. There's only a couple of pencils moving in Denver, so I assume everybody else has it locked in. But we're reading this. So how do you promote, again, remember, piquing interest, establishing credibility. And here's something, too, that I noticed. Establish or leverage your brand story. So one of my favorite parts about calling for Dignity Memorial is that typically in the markets that we're in, we are the big player. More often than not, we're the big player, and we can leverage that. Now, this came up in the first group, but the question was, should I reference Dignity Memorial? And I said, it's kind of up to you. If it was me, like in Denver, I would reference Olinger, not necessarily Dignity. Everybody in Denver knows Olinger. They don't know me, but by saying, this is Tom from Olinger, pick a location, I can leverage the credibility of over 100 years of service in Denver, right? In Fort Collins, I'm Alma. Nobody in Fort Collins would recognize Alma as Dignity Memorial, right, Jen?
Right.
But they know Alma, right? That's a known brand. So who wants to share one of their approaches, maybe by phone or voicemail? Who wants to share one of those? How about you, Jen, since I know I got you?
Yeah, sure. So it would sound like this. Hey, Tom, it's Jennifer with Alma at Macy Chapel. I'm following up on my text from yesterday. I see you downloaded our funeral guide, and I'd love to hear what questions, comments, or observations you have. I'll be in the office this week, and I can set some time aside. What would be better, the beginning of the week or the end of the week for us to connect?
Fantastic. That is awesome. Give Jen a round of applause. Thank you, Jen. That was very good. One of the things, too, that I hope you guys are kind of pulling out, I mean, you could even tell when she was reading, but you can definitely hear it on her voice when she's doing her pitch. I'd love to hear what your questions or comments were regarding that. She's engaged on the phone. If you don't think your tone of voice plays, it does. It does big time. That was awesome, Jen. Love that. The other thing that she does a nice job of is she wants to connect. Here's some insight. People aren't necessarily going to set an appointment with you. Because if I'm setting an appointment, where do I set appointments? I set appointments at doctor's offices. Who's excited about setting doctor's appointments? Nobody's hand in Denver went up, so I hope nobody on the phone was like banging their desk about that. You also set up appointments with like usually your CPA or whoever's doing your taxes, which also is fun. And when you need to buy something, right? And if we're trying to, I don't want to say that we're avoiding the sale. We're not, but we're providing value. How can we provide value? Let's connect. Let's schedule a time to meet. Right?
Together.
Let's get together and go over your options. There's lots of ways to secure an appointment without saying, let's secure an appointment. I guess you could say, let's set an appointment or secure an appointment. I've kind of always defaulted to schedule a time to meet, but whatever. So here's the next one, mastering the subject line of emails. And I'll share this story with you guys, and then we'll kind of jump in. So when I was at Highland in Denver, I was in a counselor role, and like I shared with you earlier, I was a phone guy. I made a lot of phone calls. It's always kind of been my thing. I'm not afraid of getting on the phones. I'll just do it. I don't think it's fun. Okay, I'm here to tell you I don't think it's fun, but I always knew what it was going to result in. So I must have called this woman 10 different times. Never got a response. It was just one thing after another, just voicemail. But I read the notes in Salesforce. Whoever worked with her before had it teed up. It was there. She was going to buy a funeral. I knew it. I just had to get in touch with her. Well, I tried 10 different times. I finally said, all right, to heck with it. I'm just going to send an email. I'm done. I called 10 times, got no response. I'm going to send an email. I'm done. I said, you know what? It looks like you were interested in taking care of your funeral before. I'm your new family service counselor here at Highland. If that's something that you're interested in, please give me a call back, or let's schedule a time to meet. I'm available on Tuesday at 2. She wrote back within 5 minutes and said, Tom, I've been meaning to get in touch with you. I need to get this done. I want to do the same plan that I bought for my mom, including the same casket. I can come next Tuesday at 2. I have 15 minutes. Can you have the paperwork ready? I'll write you a check. I wrote back, yes, period, and I just hit send. And I didn't even get a room. I met her at the front desk. I had all the paperwork highlighted and lined up, and she wrote me a check and handed it to me. It was the easiest $12,000 sale I ever had. The reason why I share that story, and like I said earlier, and like Ryan said at the beginning, the 10-10-10 isn't to make Ryan happy. It's not to make your sales manager happy. It's because we've got to get our message out in a lot of different ways. If all you do is make phone calls, I think you have a better chance to win, but you probably won't if that's all you're doing. If all you're doing is sending emails, I know you won't win. You'll sell some, but not enough to reach the levels that you're looking for, right? If all you do is send letters, you'll get some traction, but not all of it. But if you put them all together and you build a system and you layer on top of each other, you'll find success. So here's some examples of bad subject lines. Who wants to read the bad ones? Justin, read the bad ones for me.
We want your business.
No duh, right?
Announcement, RE, our new product launch.
How many of us have sent that email? New cremation garden, come check it out. Right? We've sent that. Keep going.
Company update, new projects, check out our end of the month pricing. You popped up on my calendar, something special just for you. How to increase your sales.
Okay. So my favorite on that is check out our end of the month pricing. We've all sent that email. You don't have to admit it, but that's okay. We've all, if you're in sales, you've sent that email. Maybe not here, but if you're in sales, you sent that email, right? And that email tells me someone's trying to sell me something in a hurry. So, those are bad examples. Justin, I'll let you read the good ones too. I won't just pile on you with the bad.
All right. Sally Smith suggested I get in touch with you. Quick question about your plan to fully protect your family. Sarah mentioned you were interested in pre-planning. Is pre-planning your funeral now right for you? Most of our clients were unaware of the circle of protection. What concerns you most, emotionally or financially? And are you like Sam? He thought his family was fully protected.
Thank you, Justin. So my favorite one there is the last one because it's really ominous. Are you like Sam? Bum, bum, bum. Right? No. So these are much better examples. Notice they're personalized. Notice they've got some names in it. In our first group, we had a gentleman who had a background in marketing, and he actually gave us some data that said there's a much higher success rate if you put the person's name in the subject line, like I'm talking to you in the subject line. Right? Here's another reason why subjects are so important. How many of you get your emails on your cell phone? The only place I don't even know if I can tell you what some of my passwords are, but I know I can get my email on my cell phone. If you were to open your email on your cell phone, what do you see? What do you get? You get who it's from and the subject line. So if you put, check out our end of month pricing, I can just swipe really easily and make that go away. But if you put something like, what are your concerns, what concerns you most, whether paying emotionally or financially, I might pause. And if I pause, you got me. All we're trying to do is create a little bit of pause. So let's take another 2 minutes, and I'll put the good ones back up. Maybe pick your favorite one or write your own subject line that you think would be relevant to the customer. So we'll take a few seconds and do that. You can pick one that's up there, or you can write your own.
What's motivated this?
What's motivated this?
What motivated us sending this email?
So I would say, what are the emails that you send? Pick a campaign. So this presentation is catered towards the digital campaign, the people that have reached out to us and asked for information. But it could be so much as, we send emails out to folks that we've done business with in the past or we have contact information. Tiffany's got a good one, I can just tell.
Somebody just responded to my text and wants to come in tomorrow to buy a cremation plan. So while I'm sitting here,
Tiffany just sent a text message that we showed her, and I don't even care if it's not, I'm gonna say that she used the wording that we just showed in this training to schedule a time to get together to talk about cremation options. So great job, Tiffany.
All right, good job.
Obviously, this training is working, at least at Hampton. We'll see if it cascades the rest of the market. Okay. So let's start jumping in. What are some of the good ones, or what's one that you had? So, Michael, what's one that either jumped out at you or one that you put together?
I put, hey, Tom, there is room at the top of the cross.
All right, I like it. I like it. Good. Thank you, Michael. Ernie, what's one that jumped out at you?
The beginning one I like, and the last one is absolute genius.
The last one,
Yeah.
right? Are you like Sam?
Yeah.
He thought his family was fully protected.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's just enough intrigue,
And fear of loss.
right?
Yeah.
Remember, we're just trying to get them to open the rest of the email. We're trying to create a little bit of a pause. Give me one from Omaha. Judy. Julia.
Here. I like the one that says, is pre-planning your funeral right for you now?
Yeah. Is this the right time for you? You know, one thing I learned about prospecting is, you know, really we're trying to just give people a reason to jump out of the funnel. If it's not right for you, that's fine. I won't bother you. Just tell me. I won't bother you. How many of you like calling people that don't want to be called? I don't. Some people do. Okay. Thank you. All right. So here's some examples of bad emails. Okay. And they're wordy, and it's all about us. Remember, we're not sending these emails to make ourselves feel good or to placate ourselves. We're trying to educate and inform our consumers. Think about this, and Ryan, he's got to catch a flight, but before he goes, I'm going to make him share some relevant information about digital marketing to your territory and the number of leads that we generated in September.
Yes. So how many leads do you think we got from organic digital, meaning Tiffany?
Yes,
Can we get
sorry.
silent on that? Keep thinking the wind's blowing. How many leads do you think we got as a territory? So mind you, there's 4 markets, right? Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado, which is Colorado Springs, Pueblo. Then you have the Mountain Midwest, think Fort Collins, Greeley, and then Denver. How many web leads do you think we got from people just going out and doing an organic search on how to plan their funeral? Then, on top of that, before we answer that, add in the leads we get from marketing, going out and target marketing online and driving people to our website. Just in the month of September, how many do you think we got? Between 4 markets. Is it 50 per market? Is it 100 per market? Is it 25 per market? What do you think it is? 250 total? Per market? Okay. Dan was right. There's 50 per market. We got 200 total. Now, think about it this way. If you would rewind it 10 years ago, so it's 2009, right? And I asked you, we're going to do direct mail, and we're going to try to drive people to the internet to our website. What would you bet we would get more leads on? Correct. 10 years ago. Direct mail?
Mail.
So, that's correct. And the folks on the line said direct mail as well. 10 years ago would have been direct mail. Well, guess how many leads we got in direct mail in September for the territory?
5.
No, we got more than that. 135. But we got 200 web leads. And then think of this. PPA folks, what's our number 1 lead source currently for the most part? Seminars.
ACVs?
No, it's the seminar. Family Services, ACV. Whoever answered that, you're correct on the ACV. But more on the family service side. Seminars, last month at territory, we got 275 leads. You know how expensive seminar leads are? Very expensive. You know how expensive digital leads are? Very cheap. Do you see where we're going here? This is the future. And so it's not just driving people to our website. The future is being able to prospect this way. If we don't do it, folks, and we want to just keep grabbing a cold directory and cold calling, we're missing the boat. When we talk about the 10-10-10 initiative with activities, Tom might have talked about it already. I apologize, I had to step out. That was not to appease Ryan. That's because we sat back and said, if we only prospect one avenue, we're in trouble. We have to start getting into these other buckets and these other silos. We've got to send emails daily. We have to send paper mail daily still. There's still a consumer out there. Because we got 135 direct mail leads. We got 200 digital, right? And we still have to use the phone, but we can't, the days of just doing the phone or just doing door knocking, they're gone. The consumer's changed. You have to broaden your horizon, take this stuff right here and put it to practice. What's that?
She's door knocking.
It's true though, door knocking has changed, especially in bigger cities, right? Things are changing. The business isn't changing. Remember, I started the conversation, I said the business hasn't changed. It's still a kitchen table business, but getting to the kitchen table has changed. And if we don't change with it and with our consumer, we'll get left behind.
Well, even years ago, when I was back east, people always wanted you to come to the home.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved back here, I noticed that more people would say, oh, no, you don't have to come to the home.
Yeah.
I'll come see you. So I do more.
We do more appointments at our locations than we probably used to.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a change in the consumer, and it's a change in the way people consume information and the way that they make their buying decisions.
Tom, I want to make one more comment quick, and then I have to step out. I apologize. I got to catch a flight, you guys. The folks on the call that are on the WebEx, we've had some good chats going while you're presenting, and people bringing up stuff and saying, that's great to know, I need to implement this. So those of you that are on the call and have participated in the chat, Rebecca, Jen, Sheila, Kathy, thank you for doing so. And as we move forward doing these trainings, that's a great avenue for us to keep, not only seeing it here, but re-emphasizing it, because it's different when you can't be in the room and you're in a room at a location trying to follow on the WebEx. So those of you participating in the chat, I've enjoyed it, and great job taking good notes and adding to it, because that's what it's about, and we all learn on it. So just want to point that out.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, Jeff.
So as a PTA, we can kind of account for, we're probably going to have 10 opportunities in our seminars.
Okay.
But I only have one web lead, if that's what market size is.
Sure.
It's kind of hard for us, if there's 200 web leads, I've seen one, there's 180 seminar leads, I've seen 10.
Sure.
That's kind of hard to measure that.
So it's on a territory scale, one. And it's always going to be a little bit different, just because, remember, you're right in front of it in a seminar. And we saw some clogs and some log jams that were happening with Market Size that we fixed those, so you'll see more in the future. Okay.
And those, the seminar leads, last month was a weak seminar month here in Denver. We just didn't get a lot of leads. It was very strong in some of our other areas. So, different from most months, that 275 that we had in seminar leads, the majority of it wasn't in Denver. It was in our other areas where we haven't done seminars in the past, and we're starting to get back into them. So, to give you an example, I did 2 seminars in Central Iowa, in Des Moines, and we had 35 people at each seminar. So there's 70 of it right there, right, in one day. So that's why you see kind of the spread of those leads. And then you take the web leads, and again, as Tom said, those are spread across all the markets, right, across the 4 markets. So, and we kind of started to change our setup on how we're going to do the web leads, so PPA will start seeing more web leads here. Yep.
So, what I point out too, this is a thought process. If you guys know that data, and you know that our conversion rate on seminars is probably right around the same as everything else, 33%, something like that. We'd like it to be higher. We're working on making it higher. But where we sit today, you're probably around 33%. And we know that our digital leads are actually a higher conversion rate. Here's something that I've done in the past that we brought up, we talked about in the first group. In your emails out to potential client families, you can drive them through hyperlinks organically to our website. Because what if they open your email, they think it's relevant, they just don't want to talk to you yet? That could happen, right? But if I'm including links, because again, this consumer wants to be educated first. Bring me some value, then we'll talk. So what if I sent hyperlinks to planning guides or to our website? If you've ever gone on our website, go down the rabbit hole. See what you can find, because you'll find information on cremation, on permanent memorialization, on all those types of things. They might not want to respond back to you, but if they start engaging with our website and you're the one who sent them the relevant information to educate them, who are they going to call when their time is ready? Me, right? I'm the one who's giving them information. The other thing that I'll tell you too is that if I'm sending out an email, and we talked about this, if you don't know my phone number, you're not going to respond, like you're not going to answer it. If I sent you an email and in my signature block I put my cell phone number and then I called you, Apple, I don't know if Samsung does this, but Apple will read the phone number and then underneath it, it'll say something like, maybe Tom Fogarty. Because all the apps sit on top of each other and they work intelligently together. So just by sending somebody an email with my phone number on it, when I call them, it says, hey, this might be Tom Fogarty. I found that number in your email associated with this guy. It might be him. And even if they don't know me from Adam, they go, should I know him? Right?
Yeah, we've talked before, apparently.
But yeah, I mean, maybe it's him. Maybe I should know him. So it's just a relevant thing, right? If the iPhone can block us, we got to use the stuff that can get us in there to our advantage. So here's another bad example. It's not personalized. There's form letters. It's a lot. And in my short 18 months here, we've had over 100 clients. Do you think I am impressed? Remember, who are we trying to serve? We're trying to educate. We're not trying to talk about how great we are. We'll get to that when we sit down. And then I love the bottom. P.S. If you're looking for a great bargain, since it's the last week of the month, we're offering a special discount of 15% off. Act now. And a while ago, I'm not sure if we're still doing it, but a while ago we used to send out J.D. Power surveys to our pre-need customers, and we asked them, one of the questions we said is, why did you buy? Why? Why did you buy? Why do you think people bought? Because of the incentives? No. That was actually the lowest on the list. The last reason why people bought was because of an incentive. People bought because they experienced a loss, they've had some type of interaction with our name, our brand, or something like that. And yet, how often do we find ourselves selling on discount? Right? I mean, you have to, absolutely. The discounts are part of a strategy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't discount. I'm not saying that's not part of it. But what I'm saying is, are we presenting value first? Right? Present value first. So here's another good example, and I will email all of these things out. This is a really big PowerPoint, so I got to pare it down a little bit, but I will get all of this out to the sales managers and to the counselors through Ryan, and we'll make sure that you guys have all of this information for yourself. But let's build an email introduction, and I'll go back to a good one. Notice, look, it's simple, right? It's not a novel. How many of you have written a novel to a family? You spend a lot more time writing it than they did reading it. I've done it. I can talk a lot. I don't know if you picked up on that in the last 2 hours. So take a few minutes. We're almost done. Take a few minutes and write a couple of emails, and we'll go around and share some, and then we'll wrap up. So take a couple more minutes. I'll leave the good one up there. If you just want to find something good, I'll find this one as a good one. We'll leave it up there. We'll kind of discuss it. And Kathy, now that I know you got onto the WebEx, I'm going to make you read first. Probably gonna
I was just looking through my emails because I have a really good one that I send out.
Good. Let me know. When you find that,
I got to find it on my email.
You got to find that one for us.
It's a really good one for halfway through the month.
Even better.
So we just got, end of the month promotions that came down from corporate.
They came down from the sky. Tiffany just played jazz hands talking about the promotions that came down from the heavens above.
Don't call on me first, call me second. I'm not finding it.
Okay, call on Kathy second, I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll take a couple more minutes.
How did you know I've been on?
Well, Michael said you were trying to get onto the WebEx, and then Ryan said you were interacting on the WebEx. So then I said, man, I haven't called on Kathy this whole time.
I know. I didn't think you saw me off.
Well, we wrote the names down at the beginning. I don't have a computer in front of me. I just have a bunch of names.
Oh,
You're lucky,
okay.
Kathy. I would have called on you every time.
I know. That's why I was kind of going, I'm getting away here.
All right, let's start. Who's got something that they want to share, or even just something good? So, Jeff, you'll share one for us.
Hi, Jen. We met at the Fall Home Show. You made a great decision to receive our free pre-planning guide, and I'll be dropping those off this Thursday and Friday. Which day works best for you?
I love it. It's short. It's got a call to action. He's blocked time off, right? You built credibility. This is where you're at. You requested information. Great job, Jeff. What about Judy or Julia in Omaha?
I sent out a short and sweet one as well. This is Judy from West Lawn. I know you had some interest in the planning guide. I will be out in the area. I'd like to set about 30 minutes to get together with you in the next day or so. Tuesday works for me. How about you?
Nice. Tuesday works for me. How about you? That's engaging in a conversation, right? At the very beginning, we talked about how we wanted to start a conversation with potential client families. I love that. Great job, Judy. All right, Kathy, did you find it?
No, hang on.
Kathy.
No, it's just the internet is going really slow right now.
Kathy, I don't believe it. I don't believe that.
Well,
what about somebody in Lincoln? Want to share one with us?
I'll let you know when I get it.
Okay. Do I have anybody in Lincoln? Did I lose everybody in Lincoln?
Sorry. I was trying to call back in when you called on us last time, and everybody else was gone except for me.
Okay.
Appointment. So we apologize. We are actually.
Okay.
I usually send one out a lot of times to my people who have mentioned interest in benches or any type of property when we have some kind of a discount, and then just try to get them in usually about the same thing, you know. I have stuff available Monday, Wednesday, 2 or 4 p.m., which works best for you. And that seems to work really well.
Good. So using our discounts, like we said, discounts aren't bad. There's a strategy behind it, right? And blocking off time and giving them a call to action. Good. Thank you for sharing.
Okay,
Come on, Kathy.
I found it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so this is one I typically send out to people who I've been trying to get in, and I know they want to do stuff and that kind of stuff, but I don't want to bug them too much. But I'll say, like, hi, Stephanie, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to follow up with you to see if you would like to get together to go over some of the options for the future. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm scheduling appointments in October for file reviews, as well as those who are trying to beat the end of the year price increases. I look forward to hearing back from you soon, honoring your wishes with dignity.
You sign your email honoring your wishes with dignity. I like that, Kathy.
I like that too.
I hope you like it. You send it out. Thank you, Kathy. So all really good stuff, guys. And like I said, I'll get these out to you. I'll get this deck out. I got to pare it down a little bit. But we'll get it out to everybody. I hope that you're getting some good takeaways. I hope that you're listening to some other ideas around the territory. One of the reasons why we like doing it with the WebEx and kind of putting it all together is if there's something that works for somebody in Omaha, why not try it in Denver? Or if there's something that's working in Fort Collins, maybe we can replicate that in Iowa and find some good stuff. So here's kind of the three-part campaign strategy. So there's a proven method. It increases your appointment rate by 3 times. Obviously, this is with digital. Text and call immediately. We're fortunate in the territory that we do use Marketize It. It's a call center-like environment. That's what they do. They respond immediately so that we can be focused being in front of families. But we want to establish credibility and then obviously send an email so they'll answer a follow-up or some site. And then you can kind of read down there and understand some of the benefits and trust signs that we can use to pique their interest. So, from the initial contact, this is a question that came up earlier. How often do I call them? I think that's a common question. How often should I contact them? So, day 1, personalize my introduction. Day 2, personalize the follow-up. And then day 3 to 5, have some type of thank you or call to action. And then remember your prospecting block, somewhere between 8 and 9 and 4 and 5. Okay, and I would say that you could extend this out a following week, right? So if we're looking for 6 to 8 contacts, and you did that in a 5 to 10 day period of time, you'd probably see some success rates. And I know some of you are going to say, I don't want to be pushy. Well, I'm a little brother, so I've been annoying my entire life. It's not going to faze me, right? And you're going to just have to move past that because we know it takes 6 contacts. And if the answer is no, that's perfectly fine. We want to find out if it's no so that we don't bother people. That's good that you said that. It's interesting that you said that, Dan, because one of the things that they say is always make at least 2 calls during each attempt. So the first call I call, they send it right to voicemail. The second call I make, they might go, all right, maybe this is important. Right? Maybe this is important. I tell this story, so when my wife, she was about 9 months pregnant, and I was in an appointment with a family, and she called me, and I ignored it. And then she called me back immediately, and then I realized that my wife is 9 months pregnant and has just called me twice immediately. So I stepped out, and I said, I apologize to the family. I stepped out and I said, I just have to take this. It's my wife. You know, she's 9 months pregnant. I step out, and my wife goes, hey, I'm running by the grocery store. Do you need anything? And I said, Ashley, we got to learn, okay, maybe like a text message about the grocery store, babe. I'll be fine. And if any of you tell my wife that story, I will end all of it. No. So if mine, she would have asked you to stop on the way home. Yeah, right? So your first impression's got to be simple. It's got to provide value, and it has to align our values with their values and prioritize benefits to connect to the connection. So your expertise and access to all of the information. Remember, we can control the story. And then here's a personalized follow-up example, and then a thank you and a call to action. So remember, prospecting in today's digital world is different than it's ever been before. Here's what the company is doing. We've got a mixture of different digital campaigns centralized to get you more relevant leads. You'll see the growth. I promise you, the growth that Ryan's sharing in terms of how much direct mail and seminar and web traffic, digital traffic, this isn't going anywhere. You're just going to see these numbers increase. And we have to have the right strategy so when we do get those opportunities, we capitalize on them. Okay? You guys have any questions? Nothing in here? Any questions on the phone? I don't have the WebEx, so if you put your question in, now would be a good time to ask it. All right, thank you guys for your attention. I really appreciate it, and I know that after lunch is always a I got you out 5 minutes early. You're welcome. But thank you all for your attention. I appreciate it. I hope you got something that you can take home today or take back to your location and start using. Tiffany, we know she already uses. She got an appointment already out of this by text message. So good job, Tiffany. I hope that we hear more stories about this. Be on the lookout for this information. And like we said before, now's the time to go. It's October 3rd. We don't have any time to wait. the more days we go without scheduling appointments, the further behind we're going to get. So we got to have that sense of urgency to get in front of people today. All right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Bye.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.